Hi, it's Bea with Crafting Daily Dose, and today I have an alternative for the May 2023 Paper Pumpkin Kit called Exploring in Color. I've used this particular card base, but really this design works well for any of the card bases in the kit. I was originally inspired by a card that Rachel Tessman shared a while ago, but I tweaked those measurements a little bit. I'll have a link to hers as well as my previous one in the description box. Now for this one, I added a fun closure using the compass die cut. You can see that it's been raised up on dimensionals, and what that allows me to do is to have an anchoring point for the twine so that I can wrap it around to keep the card closed. I've got 3 wraps here because I like the look, but you can keep it simpler and use less twine. And when you open the card, you get to take in that full scene. It's a lot quicker than you might think. Stay tuned and I'll share how to make it. Here are the pieces for the project. I'm adding in 2 pieces of cardstock. This one is boho blue, and it is 10.5 inches across by 5.5 inches in height with score lines at 3 1/8 and 6 1/4 inches. The piece of basic white cardstock is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And I'm using this particular card base, but really any of them would work well for this design. Remember, it's printed on both the back and the front, and we're going to take advantage of that. I'm also using these die cuts from the kit. I've got this label as well as the compass. Now, if you've already used up your compass die cuts, remember that you can create that same image with the stamp set. And then finally, I've got 30 inches of the twine that came with the kit. That gives me enough to be able to wrap around the card 3 times, but if you're trying not to use quite so much, you can get by with a lot less, but it does need to be at least about 12 inches, which would allow you to wrap it around once. Good substitutes for that would be linen thread, which is very, very similar, or the 2023 to 2025 in color twine, and it comes in all 5 of the in colors, and all of them would coordinate with any of these card bases. Both of those are in the annual catalog. We'll be using the copper clay color of ink for stamping our sentiments, and that's it. We're ready to get started. I've got my silicone craft sheet down for a little bit of cushion underneath the paper, and I'll stamp the sentiment onto that label. Next, we're going to prepare this card base to become the panels for our card. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. This was originally the back and this was originally the front, and I want to trim down the height to just 5 1/4 inches. You can trim from the top or from the bottom or split the difference. I'm choosing to trim mine from the bottom. So I'm going to turn it. In my case, I'm going to rotate it counterclockwise, and I'm going to put this edge along the 1/4 inch mark on the right hand side. So this is what I've cut off. Now I'll turn it back so that the long side is along the top again, and I'll cut right down this score line that is already there. So I'm lining up that score line with the track on my trimmer. This is going to become the left panel on my card, and I'm going to trim this width down to 4 inches. And I want to be careful here to be trimming it from the left edge. If I trim it from the other side, then that pattern is not going to look continuous anymore once the panels are lined up next to each other. So for me, it's easiest to go ahead and turn this around upside down. And now I'm going to line this edge against the 1/4 inch mark on the right, which should put this edge at the 4 inch mark on the left, and it does. So that's a way I can double check to make sure. Now I'll trim that off. So when you turn it right side up, you can see that we've trimmed away from the left edge. Now, let's take our other panel, which is right here, This is going to become the middle and the right hand panels on the card. This middle section here is going to be 2 inches in width. So I'm going to line up this edge with the 2-inch mark and cut it. And then I've got this piece left over, and right now it is 2 1/4 inches in width. I'm choosing to leave mine that way because it's so pretty. I don't want to trim off any more than I have to. But if you are somebody who likes to have more room to write your message, then you are free to trim this to be as narrow as you want it to be. So I'm leaving mine at 2 1/4, but you can make yours 2 inches or even less than that if you wanted to. And that's really all the prep work there is. We're going to go ahead and assemble everything. Here's the card base, and I've oriented it so that the widest panel is over here on the right. I've got these 2 score lines. The first one on the left is going to be a mountain fold away, like this, and then the second one is going to be a valley fold towards. And this is going to create that Z fold shape. But in order to make the card lie just a little bit flatter, I'm actually going to work both of these folds in both directions, and I'll reinforce it with my bone folder. And then when I'm done with that, I'm going to just make sure that I've got it oriented back the correct way. Now I'm going to center the basic white layer over this panel. I'm using Stampin' Seal, but you can use the glue dots from the kits, or glue, or tear and tape. Next is going to come this larger panel that's going to go over here on the left. And I want to position it so that when the card is closed, it's going to hide that white layer. To make sure that I don't put any stray adhesive, I'm going to start by putting my Stampin' Seal right here on this edge. I'm covering most of that edge, but not all the way to the top or to the bottom. Then on this piece, I want to put adhesive underneath this left edge. When I turn it upside down, that ends up being the right-hand side. Keeping that card closed, I'm going to do my best so that it looks centered visually. I'm double checking which one is the middle panel, and that is going to go right here. I'm going to line it up right next to that crease. I don't want it to bunch up in the crease, but I want to get it really close. And then finally, this is going to cover part of my white layer. And if I made a little mistake in cutting the widths of these, I can fudge the placement of this little bit, scoot it over a little bit more or a little bit less so that that spacing looks as even as I can get it. The sentiment label is going to go over this panel, and I'm going to use glue this time so that I have time to scooch it around and make adjustments if I need to. Kind of keeping this space and this space about the same. And for my compass, I'm going to put a single dimensional foam sticker right in the middle. And I'll put it at a little bit of an angle to make it more interesting. Now I'm going to close up my card. And the twine is basically going to hook around this compass. It's like those string fasteners that you find on envelopes for business documents. So this is going to go around here, and then I'm just going to wrap this around. And then for that last one, I will hook it around that dimensional, and there you go. Keeps it nice and closed. Here's our finished card, and as promised, it was really pretty quick. To open it, you just undo the string, and it opens up to reveal that beautiful scene. You have room for your message over here, or if you're somebody who really wants a lot of room to write, you could always put some basic white cardstock here on the back to continue your message. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed this dose of creativity. If you're interested in Paper Pumpkin but don't yet have a demonstrator, you can find my subscription link as well as all of my other links in the description box below. If you get a chance to try this project, I would love to see it, so share it in my Facebook group or tag me if you're sharing elsewhere. I hope to craft with you again next time, and until then, have a great day.